Bruins Beat is brought to you by PrizePicks.
And welcome into the Bruins Beat, presented by PrizePicks. Go use that promo code CLNS to get $50 back when you play your first $5. I am Evan Marinofsky, joined today by Chris Pelosi. Chris, what is up?
Thanks for having me.
It is it's awesome to have you here. Third round pick of the Bruins in 2023, which is now 2 years ago. Time flies by, obviously, but 2023 being 2 years ago, I was looking at your draft, like that whole class, and Leonard, Smith, obviously locals. That was like the Bedard draft. I can't believe that's already 2 years ago.
Yeah. Feels like it's been a while, but
it's insane. How's your summer going? What's a summer like for Chris Pelosi?
Yeah, it's going great. I mean, basically at the rink, in the mornings every single day, just working out or skating, and it's pretty much it. I'm up at school now, so I get to hang out, with the guys all the time. So it's just been awesome.
Yeah, that's got to be a fun summer. If I remember when I was in college, if college could have went all year, and you could have had the summers with your college buddies, it would have been awesome. At Quinnipiac, like what are the focuses this summer? What are the things that that you're really honing in on?
Yeah, I think we're just trying to, get closer as a team. We still have a lot of new guys coming in, and all the returners are just trying to, group everyone together and kind of build that chemistry with the team that we can take into the season.
That's awesome. And then when you were home, like, do you get home at all during the summer at college, or not really?
Yeah, I try to get home as much as possible, probably like once a month or something like that.
When you can get away from the ice, what's like your unwind activity? Is it golf? Is it what do you really like getting away from the ice with this summer?
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much anything. Like I'm more of a guy that, makes things up, as we go. So whatever there is to do that day, I'm in for it. So it doesn't really matter what it is.
That's awesome. So I want to get into your backstory and sort of your upbringing. You grew up in Sewell, New Jersey. How did you end up getting into hockey?
I don't really know the complete story, but I think my parents, sort of just threw me out there, and then I fell in love with it right away. I've always been the, sporty kid, so I tried a few different other sports out that, were just either too slow for me, or I just wasn't, too interested in it. Hockey's, fast, physical, and it's fun. I mean, I've been playing it every day since. So,
what were the other sports you tried out as a kid?
I tried soccer, baseball, all those, basic sports, and I don't know, just wasn't into them.
It's funny because like I grew up playing baseball too, and I always liked it, but it is a little slow. And I wonder with kids coming up now, like obviously lacrosse has gotten huge, and Mounts, I think when you were there, did Mount win when you were at Mount St. John's, we'll get to in a second, but didn't they win a Lax national championship when you were there?
I think so. I think one of the years they did.
Yeah, they've had a very good team, but like lacrosse has become huge with kids because it's fast paced, it's physical. Obviously, there's a lot of crossover with hockey. I do wonder with like baseball and even soccer, because like I'm not really a soccer guy. And I know soccer is the biggest sport in the world, and it's, everywhere, and the money in it's crazy. It's a little slow. Slow. And I wonder, like, for the next generations of kids, I hope it does. Soccer's fine, but like for a sport like baseball, I wonder if that's gonna, not die, but just kind of get less and less kids involved, which sort of unfortunate. But yeah, the fast pacedness of hockey, I think, draws in a lot of kids. I imagine that was one of the big things with you.
Yeah, 100%. Don't get me wrong. I love watching baseball. I love going to Phillies games and stuff. I'm a huge Phillies fan, but I don't know. I just can't see myself standing out there for, however many hours, in the heat, just catching balls. I don't know. But
yeah,
as for hockey, it's so fast paced and skilled now. Like it's just so fun being out there, especially with guys, at development camp or, even here in college. Like it's just awesome being around those guys.
And the other thing that with like baseball and other sports, like especially outdoor sports, like people say, oh, this rink is freezing. This rink is so cold. And there are certainly a lot of cold rinks you and I have both been in that are, really, really, really cold, but it's controlled. It's not
Right.
windy, it's not raining, it's not snowing, although there have been some rinks that are outdoor and you sort of you take the snow as it goes, but like it's at least a controlled environment. Even when I'd be at like Mount, and Mount's gotten a little bit warmer. Adelard's gotten a little bit warmer, which is
Really?
crazy. But there was a time, that place was freezing, but at least it's controlled. So I enjoy that. For you, like growing up, you obviously have a younger brother, Rocco. Do you have any other siblings?
Yeah, I have an older sister.
Older sister.
Yep.
How much would you compete with them in sports? And how did they sort of help you become the athlete and the person that you are now?
Yeah, I mean, everything was always competitive with them. I'd say it started with, knee hockey as a kid. I sort of got the whole family involved. We would have like family games or whatever in the basement. So I guess just building off of that, everyone wants to win, obviously. No one wants to be on the losing side. So I think that helped a ton with, my road with where I am today. And, it's just been great.
It's funny. Rocco was telling me that you guys used to have mini hockey games, and there'd be battles, holes left in the wall, and things like that. And I think that's such a staple moment for young hockey players of like mini hockey, so intense, full contact, like throwing sticks. Like those are such incredible moments, I imagine, from your childhood.
Yeah, I mean, I was going a little light on Rocco because he's 4 years younger than me. But if I was playing with like my teammates, I would get crazy sometimes.
No, it's awesome. So you grew up, you played with Philly Hockey Club, right?
Yep.
What was that like? I mean, I know people might think, oh my God, you played in Philadelphia and you lived in New Jersey, but you grew up fairly close to Philly, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was Philadelphia Hockey Club was based out of Jersey, my hometown, Sewell. It was a new program out of Hollydale Ice Arena. So the first year we started playing for Philadelphia Hockey Club was the first year it was a program. But it was great. Like we had a bunch of top guys on my team. Like my coach was unbelievable, just ran us through the ground and taught us like, discipline and hard work, will most likely win every single time. And, I couldn't be more thankful for those 2 years that I played there.
So you started at Philly in their first years, and then correct me if I'm wrong, when you started at Mount in Mount's Academy, that was their first year too, right?
That was their second year. My 15U year was their second year.
Okay, but still very early. I'm wondering, like, people get weird with their hockey routes. You don't want to go too far off the reservation. You kind of want to stick with what works. And if, certain teams you and I know that are always good and you can stick with those. And obviously Mount became a powerhouse and Philly Hockey Club is really good. But that's interesting that you started with sort of newer organizations. Was that something that crossed your mind or you and your family's mind at the time of sort of like, I'm taking a little bit of a chance here?
No, I don't think so. I was fully confident in Mount when I made the decision to go there. All the facilities were great. We got the ice, 24 hours a day. We can go on whenever we want. The dorms were brand new with a brand new gym in the dorms. So it was pretty much everything I needed. All the coaches there were great. When I was talking with them touring, they spoke very highly of the education there and what their goals were as hockey coaches. And, it was just an awesome time being at Mount.
Absolutely. And you, before you got to Mount, though, you were Gloucester Catholic for a year, right?
Yep.
What was that like? And what was that 1 year like of playing New Jersey high school?
It was super fun. I loved it. My head coach was Guy Goudreau, Johnny Goudreau's dad. Mm-hmm. And he also coached my brother. So, it was fun. It was a bunch of local guys around and we actually made, some school history. So that was awesome as well.
And when did it kind of hit that you were going to take hockey more seriously than most people? Like, when was that? What age? Do you remember the level that you were at where it was like, all right, I think I can do something with hockey?
I don't remember exactly when, obviously I was pretty young, but probably say like 12 or something around there. When you start first getting looks at obviously prep schools and maybe a little bit of colleges here and there. And I think that just, kind of built my confidence up, and, I just kind of put my head down ever since and been working hard.
It's funny that because you did that year at Gloucester Catholic, coached by Guy Gaudreau, which is incredible. I remember talking to Rocco about sort of the impact the Gaudreaus have had on you guys and what that's been like. It must have been difficult. I know around here when kids leave their Mass high school team or even their prep school team to go play junior, it's a really hard decision. Was it a difficult decision? I imagine you probably had a lot of friends on that Gloucester Catholic team. I mean, what was that like in the decision to then jump for Mount?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely difficult. Definitely felt like I was not leaving them out to dry, but, kind of just ditching them. But they understood. They were just like, whatever you have to do, it's your career. You do what you want to. You do what you think is best for you. And, I couldn't be more thankful for the teammates and friends that I made at Gloucester Catholic and even before that. So I'm very thankful for them for being supportive of my decisions.
Yeah. And I'm curious, like the identity you were, during those years in high school is really when a player seems to get an identity and kind of who they are. I'm curious when you sort of started to become, or the seeds were planted for the player that you are now, and what players you looked up to growing up as guys you wanted to emulate.
Yeah. Definitely started with my coach in my youth days, Tom Bunning. Like, he always preached hard work, dedication, discipline, and every practice we would bag skate at the end, and you'd hate it at the time, but you knew it was for the best. So I don't really like to take shortcuts in anything really. So I guess I kind of just took that and kind of put it into my hockey career. And I'd say one player I modeled my game after pretty well was Patrice Bergeron, and his two-way game was just unbelievable as a center, and his defensive abilities, but he was also able to put the puck in the net and make plays in the O-zone, every single game. So
the shortcomings element of it, there are a lot of kids who do try to take shortcuts, and there are kids who, be it jumping from team to team or multiple different things. You've seen it. I've seen it from afar. Like it's prevalent. How hard is it not to take shortcuts growing up and staying on your own path?
Yeah. I mean, I think as long as you have a goal in mind, I don't think it's hard to not, do shortcuts. If you really want to be the best at what you're doing and want to get better every single day, then you know what you have to do, and shortcuts aren't one of them.
What's funny is you left Mount after your 16U year, correct? Can you kind of take me through the process of how you went from Mount to Janesville in the North American Hockey League for your first 18U year?
Yeah, so I was expecting to play for Muskegon that year in the USHL. I was drafted by them, a couple years previous, and I got to spend the end of my 16U year up there practicing with them. So I went there in training camp, kind of with high hopes and thinking I was going to make the team, but I fell short and got sent to Janesville. But it couldn't have worked out any better for me. I just got to keep your head down and keep following your dreams and focusing on your goals, and that's exactly what I did. And eventually, Sioux Falls made the call to Muskegon to acquire me in a trade, and I couldn't be happier for Tony Gasparini, the GM at Sioux Falls, and for the opportunity to get called up there, and never looked back since.
Is Janesville an affiliate of Muskegon?
I don't think so. No.
Okay.
Janesville's old head coach had just got hired that year as an assistant coach in Muskegon, so I think that had something to do with it. But Janesville's an awesome spot. I grew up so much as a player there, and couldn't be happier of a better North American spot to play at.
When you didn't make Muskegon, how long until you were with Janesville? Was it like a couple days, couple weeks? Like how fast did you end up with the Jets after?
It was, I think, the next day.
Okay.
Yeah, the next day the NA showcase was starting in Blaine in Minnesota, and I flew right to Blaine and joined the team right there.
Was there any, I know it was a day, so you didn't have much time to think then, because I know there are a lot of kids in New England who move on to, they try to go for the USHL early and they don't make a team. And then they're sort of in that limbo period of, oh my God, I can't go back to my prep school and I don't know where I'm playing junior hockey. That obviously wasn't a problem for you. But was there any part of you when you didn't make Muskegon at first that was like, oh man, maybe I should have stayed at Mount for my 18U year, or not really?
Yeah, definitely 100%. You got those thoughts in your head, but you just got to do what's best for you. And I knew going to North American League was what was best for me. And to just, kind of see what juniors was like as a young kid and get used to it before making that next big step to the USHL and to college.
PrizePicks is the best place to turn your sports knowledge into cash. With millions of members, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the best way to get action on sports in more than 30 states, including California, Texas, and Georgia. PrizePicks is the best place to win cash while watching sports. Join millions of users and sign up today. The app is so easy to use. To create a lineup, all you have to do is pick more or less on a few player stats for your shot to win up to 2,000 times your money. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. Don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus because it's guaranteed. PrizePicks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday each Tuesday. PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. I can't say it enough. With the Red Sox, I know they got a tough stretch coming up, but I like the hits, RBI, lines over there at PrizePicks. Pick more or less on those. I like those. They have some hot hitters. Cedar Rafaela has been hot. Alex Bregman coming back from injury. He's been great. So go do that. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. There are a lot of people who would look at someone being in the NAHL and say, oh man, they're a step down. Like that's, they go from Mount and they end up there. Oh my God. You seem to have turned that into a real positive. I imagine you sort of just alluded to it, that being in the North American League for, I think it was like half a season, basically, really kind of got you acclimated to junior and helped you, at least it seems from afar, to step into Sioux Falls at the second half of that year and then thrive in your second year in the USHL. Is that how you saw it? Like those games with Janesville actually kind of got you more acclimated to junior?
100%. Yeah. I mean, you're getting the next best experience from the USHL. And, you're playing against older guys every single day, whether it's in practice or games. And, it might not be the easiest games or whatever, but, you kind of learn to dig through and, learn the ups and downs of juniors and how you can go on a losing streak, but you can break that any game and, really go on a run with the team you have.
And for those who don't know, like the difference between being at a Mount and being in junior hockey is huge. I mean, you're not really it's hockey centric all the time. And especially the NAHL is very, very cutthroat. How did you experience that environment? How did you take that environment and how did you kind of handle that mentally?
Yeah. You gotta go into there, with high hopes. If you're going in there like, oh my God, I suck, like you're not going to do well. You got to go in there, wanting to learn the most of things and wanting to learn from the older guys that have been there for a year or two. And you kind of just got to soak everything in as, in the moment instead of looking in the future and, hoping for what you want.
You mentioned the future. Were you thinking about moving back to the USHL that year, or were you mainly just focused on Janesville?
I was really just focused on Janesville once I got there. Like I knew what I had to do to get back to where I wanted to be, which is what you said, back to the USHL. And but you can't look too far ahead. You gotta be in the moment and cherish the moment you're in and take the most out of it.
And that was your draft year too. So I'm wondering, like, you're in your draft year, which I imagine is probably on your mind. I mean, how are you feeling throughout the year draft wise? Is that something you're constantly thinking about? Like, how did you sort of approach that end of it?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really thinking about it too much. I knew teams were able to reach out if they wanted to. So I wasn't really like worrying too much about it because that's just another thing on my shoulders that I would have to carry. And I was just there having fun, getting better every single day, and trying to give myself the best opportunity to get drafted that year.
And when you go to Sioux Falls, so you end up, how did that kind of happen? What was that like going from Janesville to Sioux Falls midseason?
Yeah. So they were trying to trade for me for a while. No one, wanted to make that happen right away, but eventually it did happen in the 3-way trade. So right after the trade, I think it was like the next week or something, I got called up. Tony Gasparini called me, told me to come into town, play 2 weekends there right before Christmas break. And then, depending on how I did those 2 weeks would determine if I would go back to Janesville or stay in Sioux Falls. And, I ended up doing pretty well and got to stay the rest of the season. So
I imagine that being in a spot like Sioux Falls where they wanted you and where they traded for you and where there were incentives to play better and things like that, I imagine that probably helps your acclimation to it in terms of like, oh, they want me here and I'm a valued part of this team, I would assume is a big part of it.
Yeah, 100%. Just knowing there's someone that wants to play you and believes in you is just a big confidence booster. Helps a ton.
I remember when you got picked in the NHL draft that year, 3rd rounder, and a lot of people around here at least went, wait, who is that? And part of it was because they saw that you were in the NAHL for half the season in the USHL. And I'm very curious, like, you had an incredible second year in the USHL. I'm curious, A, did you see any of that reaction to you being a 3rd round pick by the Bruins? And B, was that a source of motivation in that second year in the USHL? And is it still a source of motivation?
Yeah, I think so. 100%. It's definitely motivation still. Just, every time there's ups and downs, every time there's downs, you just got to keep being positive and looking forward. You can't look back at it and dwell on it and, kind of be upset about it. You just got to move on and do what you have to do the next time you're out there. And as far as the reactions, I saw some of them, but I try not to pay attention to all of them. They're just fans at the end of the day. They want what's best for their favorite team. So I understand it, but at the same time, like, give guys the chance to show you like what they have. I guess that's
and what
say about
yeah
that.
And what's funny is you have I obviously you've done a year in the USHL and a year in college. Nothing is guaranteed or anything, but you have had 2 really good years since then. And I find that really interesting. It's sort of the Bruins drafting you. And I'm curious, like, how much were they talking to you prior to the draft? What was sort of that lead up like to the draft?
Yeah, they were probably the team that talked to me the most prior to the draft. I had a few interviews with them, and even after the draft, they're helping you a ton. They're showing you video, they're telling you things to improve on, and I think that's helped me a ton these past 2 seasons, and it's really been showing.
What's one thing that they have emphasized to you, be it video or meetings or anything like that, text during the year, that you've implemented in your game and you've seen like, oh, this has helped me?
I think using my size to my advantage more than I have been. Obviously I have the bigger frame, I'm almost 6'2", and I just put on a couple pounds this summer. So I'm looking forward to, learning how to use this size and using it to my advantage.
And were you at the draft?
No.
You were not.
No.
What was that the days leading up to it, and what was the day like? I mean, what were you doing? What was kind of take me through the day of being drafted?
Yeah. I wasn't fully expecting to be drafted. I was told like 5th, 6th, some of the later rounds. So like the day of the draft, I went to the rink as normal in the morning, worked out, skated, came back home, started making breakfast, and I just turned the draft on just to see if any of my buddies were getting drafted. And the next name that pops up was my name under the Bruins logo. So, I mean, I had to stop making breakfast right there. I was getting phone calls, the rest of the day, and had some family come over later, and it was just super fun. Great experience, great moment.
That's awesome. Imagine if you're still on the ice for that. They would have been like, Chris, get off the ice. John Sweeney's on the phone. Like, you gotta get over here.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I didn't know that. I didn't know that was your story, that you just kind of flipped the TV on. And it's interesting. That was your first year eligible, right?
Yep.
There was a kid, Caden Harrington, who just got picked by the Kings, and he's fourth rounder this past year, second year eligible. And they didn't have any party for it. He was in the other room when it happened, like, because his first year he didn't get picked. So second year he's like, I'll leave it on, but I'm not, like, that's not my day. Whatever happens, happens.
Right.
And it's got to be a stressful experience. Like, I know you said you didn't know if you'd be drafted, or you're fifth, sixth round, but like, it had to be still, like, it's still there. You're still like, man, I hope I get picked, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, any team can give you the attention they want, but it's still not a guarantee. But it's nice to sit down and watch just in case it does happen.
It is. Oh God, yeah, it is. And then so you get drafted, you go into that second year at Sioux Falls, you have a really good year. What were some of the things in that second year in Sioux Falls that you really felt were different from your first year of junior hockey?
Yeah, I think it was just less pressure, especially going into Sioux Falls the first year for that second half of the season. I was just trying to prove myself there so I can stay there and make a name for myself. And the second year, I got the draft year out of the way, got drafted. That's, big weight off the shoulders. And I think the GM and the head coach there trusted me a lot more. So I think it was just a lot easier to, kind of help the younger guys there rather than being the young guy learning. I can be the guy teaching the younger guys and, helping build that chemistry on that team, which helped me a ton as a player. And
you wore an A for that second year, right?
Yeah.
And then so you go to Quinnipiac, and 2 years of junior hockey prepares you really well for college, and it showed with you. I think you had 24 points last season. What was the big jump? What was something different you felt about the college game compared to the USHL?
I think it's just that every game matters so much more because you're only playing 30, 40 games a season. You can't really take a game off, a shift off, or a period off. Like, every single little bit matters. And also I think my size was also a big issue the first half of the season. I was struggling the first half, but kind of learned how to adapt after that, after the World Junior camp and all that. I kind of learned a ton how to handle, the size and the different skills of every single guy on the other team. And it just made it that much easier for me the second half of the season.
And it's funny because, like, you guys are in the ECAC, and now with, CHL rulings and NIL stuff, and a lot of players want to force themselves into Hockey East or the NCHC or the Big Ten. Mm-hmm. And ECAC is phenomenal hockey. And I'm very curious, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but in a place like the ECAC, you get a lot of opportunity, or a place like Quinnipiac, you can get a lot of opportunity that maybe at a bigger blue blood school you couldn't. Now I say that as Quinnipiac won the national championship 2 or 3 years ago. So there's not, there's nothing against Quinnipiac, but ECAC in general and that stuff. Do you notice that as well, that at a school like Quinnipiac and in a league like the ECAC, you just get more opportunity, especially as a freshman?
I think so, yeah. I think it also depends on the head coach. Rand Pecknold here loves his younger guys, loves giving every guy a chance to show what they can do. And he gave me every opportunity I needed, and I just took it and ran and did the most with it. So
yeah, you absolutely have. Chris, I think we've hit on everything. I think this is like your whole life story in this one episode. I think we've pretty much done everything here. Awesome. I appreciate you doing this. I appreciate you coming on, Chris, and fans will certainly look forward to watching you at QPAC this coming season. And that's Bruins Beat. I'm Evan Marinofsky. Bruins Beat listeners, have a great rest of your week.